Thanks, Julian. Welcome, everybody. Great to have everyone back again. So we're going to carry on this week from where we left off last week in Botswana. Let me just get going here. Right. So last week we did a brief overview of Botswana, looking at all the different various tourism hotspots in Botswana. And this week we're going to focus a little bit more on a certain region of Botswana, and we're going to look at how to combine the Okavango Delta, the Moremi, and the Savuti. So just looking at this map again, we spoke last week about your access points into Botswana being either Maun, here in the center, or Kasane up in the northeastern region of Botswana, right up against the Zimbabwe border. You would take a scheduled flight from either Johannesburg or Cape Town into Maun, and that would be your access point into the Delta. So we're going to look at the Okavango Delta region today, Moremi, which in fact is a section of the Okavango Delta on the southwestern side here of the Delta. And then we're going to look at Savuti, which in fact is a part of the Chobe National Park. It is part of the western sector of the Chobe National Park. And those are the three areas we'll look at in a little bit more detail today. So I think the first thing that I want to speak about is accessibility. So as mentioned, once you get to Maun Airport, you know, one of the most extraordinary things about Botswana is that this is really true wilderness area. That is what makes it so totally unique and just such a beautiful destination. So once you arrive in Botswana, your access points are generally you're going to fly in one of these small little planes. So these planes vary from being 6-seaters up to sort of 12-seaters, depending on the number of people that are traversing into certain areas. It's really an extraordinary feeling flying over this incredible wilderness landscape in these small planes, and something so unique. So what happens is you can see this is the runway. The runways really are just a clearing in the bush. What happens is the vehicles will come from the various different camps. They will come to the runway, and it is their job to drive up and down the runway and clear the runway of any game that may possibly be located or walking or crossing the runway. So they will drive up, make sure that before the flight is due to land, make sure that the runway is clear. And then these little planes literally just come in to land on these sort of gravel airstrips. So you really do immediately, from the moment that you've left Maun, you just get this incredible feeling of just literally flying into total bushveld area. You know, you're not going to find airports, you're not going to find anything like that. You get off the plane and you get straight into the vehicle and you go straight to the camp. It's a beautiful way to start your safari in Africa. So in terms of accessibility, obviously we either get on these small planes. Some of the camps do offer helicopter transfers into the lodges, and depending on where you are, if you're traversing from one, for example, Delta camp to Moremi, you can also do boat transfers across the Delta. One thing that I just wanted to mention with regards to the light aircraft transfers is the luggage allowance. So it is strictly 20 kilograms luggage allowance. That includes your photographic equipment as well as your hand luggage, and it needs to be in soft-sided bags. So there is no luggage hold. You will see the bags get in these very small planes. The bags get pushed in under the seats, and that's how you travel. Julian, I know you had some secrets with regarding this. Do you want to jump in quickly and tell everyone your great secret?
Okay. Yeah. Indeed, it's a challenge to travel on these small planes because especially, you know, my case where I travel as a wildlife photographer. Just to let everyone in on a little secret is that my camera bags normally is between 18 to 23 kilograms. Okay, it's already 18 to 23, even without my clothing and everything else. So how do I travel on planes like that? Okay, and I know Nikki, you want to know this little secret, right? And all my participants that has traveled with me has never had any problem. You know how I do it? Let me in on this little secret. But I hope that our entire group of friends here, okay, you keep this secret to yourself, okay? Yeah, and it will work every time. Okay, so what happened is that when I'm there and the plane, when we are arrived at the aircraft, okay, and the pilot is down there with the weighing scale and everything to weigh the bags, okay, I will always run forward and volunteer myself and say that, okay, please come, let me help you load the luggage. You know, I will help you load the luggage, no problem, you know, because I know you are alone and there's no one to help you. So I will very happily help you load the luggage. And I will move all my guest luggage up first, you know, especially the camera bags onto the plane at the back. Okay, so just stack it up nicely, and I will help to also load the rest of the luggage. Some of this luggage could go underneath the undercarriage, okay, the soft bag, and some of it will have to go up on it. But it always works because when you are friendly with the pilot, you know, and then he wouldn't actually realize that your bags are actually too heavy, because he'll also be, you know, not it will basically put him in the spot, you know, if he's trying to enforce that in a way. Of course, the thing is that safety is the main concern, okay, because they have a certain weight limit for the plane to fly safely. But I will do that when the plane is not fully booked, okay, in a way. Yeah, but generally, I have also flew in the co-pilot seat before, you know, by taking the seat at the side. I know they do have allowance. It's just that they just want to be a little bit more sure. Yeah, but that's the way how I will normally work. So if I travel with three participants or four participants, there's never a problem with the luggage. Yeah. So that's my little secret.
So that's your little secret.
Yeah.
All
And it
right.
works every time, all the time.
Okay, all right, but we do try to at least warn people, don't come with 30 kilograms of luggage because you're going to have a problem.
Yeah, that's right. Don't bring along your Christmas tree, you know. Yeah,
Yes,
just
your
bring what
Christmas
is
tree,
required. Yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
exactly.
Mm.
All right. And in fact, on that note, one of the things to mention is that all of the lodges do laundry, and most of them will do laundry for you as well. So actually, you really don't need huge amounts of luggage traveling into Botswana.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to show you, this week we thought we'd do something slightly different and show you a little bit of video footage on each of the different areas that we're going into. So I know some of you have seen some videos, those of you who came in early, but I'm going to show you a little video here on the Okavango Delta. There we go. Sorry, guys.
No worries at all.
All right, let me go on here. Right. Okay, so I just wanted to give you okay, this is definitely, give me a moment. This is
so folks, if you have any questions, please key them into the chat box, and then we will answer them as we go along, okay? Yeah, and Nikki and myself will help to answer them.
Okay. Cool. All right, so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about three different lodges in the Okavango Delta area. And you'll see that all three of these offer quite varying sort of standards here. So Footsteps Delta Camp is a small camp right in the heart of the Delta. This is an entry-level camp in terms of rates and facilities in the Delta. But one of the absolute unique things about Delta Camp is it's literally sort of like being on a totally deserted island. There's no game vehicles around. There's no game drives on the island. There's no motorized water sports. It's all this this is a total eco camp. It's run on solar, and as you can see on the top right-hand corner here, the rooms are built up into the trees. So literally the entire camp is built totally around what was on the island, with very little impact on the island at all. So you will find sort of a tree going right through the middle of the room. But if you're looking just for that feeling of being totally secluded on a Delta island, this is exactly what you're going to get here. So really, I think the unique factor here is the total peace and tranquility. You can imagine there's just no sounds at all. You've just got the sounds of nature around you, and just sitting, literally the game just comes to you. There's almost no need to be going out. The game in this area is so rich and just so beautiful. Obviously, there's no Wi-Fi. They have everything is run on solar, so it's very peaceful, very tranquil. It's all about walking and makoros. So they do walking safaris from here. In fact, they do a 3-day walking safari where they'll take you out into the bush, and you go out, and they'll put camps up on the different islands. So you'll go and walk. Or go by Makoro and then stay in different camps on different islands. It's really an incredible experience. All right, and then just to go back, one of the things I wanted to give you an idea of today is just sort of the price brackets of these different lodges. So Footsteps Delta Camp, you're looking at an entry level of around, in low season, of about $500 per person. Going up to about $900 per person. I think one thing that I just want to explain about the rates in Botswana before we move on is that the rates are totally fully inclusive. So I know that might sound like quite a bit, but if you consider that all of your meals are included, your drinks are included, your activities are included, the entire experience while you're there is included in those rates. So there's absolutely nothing that you need. Your park entrance fees are included, all conservation levies are included, basically absolutely everything. So it does make it, and obviously we spoke last week quite a lot about the fact that this is a you know, the whole idea around the small camps in Botswana. These camps generally only have anything between 5 up to sort of maximum of 12 rooms. So Botswana have very much gone for low impact tourism and high value, and you'll see that going through all of the different lodges. So one of the other camps in the Delta here is the Kurandani Kanana camp. So Kanana Camp was redone totally in 2019. It's been graded as a 5-star camp in the Delta. Kanana is on a private concession. So one of the benefits of the private concession is here you can do game drives plus night drives. You can do walking safaris. You can do boating safaris. They've got one of the largest heronries in the world situated close by to Kanana Camp, and it really is the most incredible experience to go by boat and just sit there and listen to the birds and watch them. It's really magnificent, in fact. They've got glass bottom makoros here, so you can go on your makoro trips. As I said, walking safaris. You can see in this bottom right hand picture here, Kanana is a tented camp. It's got 7 luxury tents. Again, no Wi-Fi, but they do have a laptop with internet so that you can go and use that. And one of the other great features about Kanana is that it's got a sleep out deck. So for those of you wanting to go, if you spend 3 nights, you get the opportunity to go and stay out in the sleep out deck. This is really an incredible experience, sleeping out and just watching straight up, being a part of nature and watching that in beautiful sky, the beautiful skies, night skies in Botswana. This camp is also a family-friendly camp, and they have the Young Explorers program. So those people wanting to travel with family into the Delta, the Young Explorers program is really incredible. They allocate a guide specifically to be with that family and spend time with the kids, and it's very much based on an educational program that they run. Really incredible. You can see also, you know, the difference between the previous camp that I showed you, Delta Camp, and Kanana Camp. You can see, you know, the dining experience is going to be slightly different and a little bit more upmarket in the Kanana Camp. Okay, I'm then going to take you on to and beyond Sandibe Safari Lodge. So and beyond Sandibe is incredible architectural feat. It is built totally out of reed and totally eco-friendly, out of local reed, etc. And it's built to resemble a scaled pangolin in the bush. So from an architectural perspective, this camp is absolutely exquisite. It really is, and totally different and unique. It has 12 rooms. Again, the rooms are beautifully spaced out, so totally private. And again, a whole notch up from the previous camp that I told you about. So here you have private, huge private decks. You can see the expanse of these decks. You have a private plunge pool. You have indoor and outdoor showers. You have fully stocked mini bars. You have an indoor fireplace. So again, just a totally unique experience. You know, other factors about Sandibe, for example, they have an interactive kitchen where you can go and learn about the local cuisine from the chef. They have totally adapted vehicles specifically for photographers. So they have camera charging points, they have bean bags and clamps for the cameras. They also give you, loan you a pair of Swarovski optic binoculars in the room. So it's all the extras that you're looking at and beyond Sandibe Safari Lodge that really make it a totally exclusive experience. Price bracket here, just to give you an indication, is you're looking at sort of from 1,200 per person in low season up to about 2.5 in high season. I think maybe now is also just a time while we're talking about rates, just again, just to mention, so I've told you that everything is fully inclusive in Botswana. One of the other, there are a couple of tricks that we use to package properties in Botswana. And one of them is looking at, so there's two factors. The one is the seasons and the one is combining properties. So just to go back, I know we did speak about it last week, but maybe just it's another time again, just to recap on the seasons in Botswana. So even though the waters come down, we have high waters over the months of July, August. That is the dry season in Botswana, and that is peak season. So peak season runs July, August, September is peak season time, and that's when you're going to be paying your highest rates. It's also, you need to be booking those camps a good 6 months in advance if you're wanting to get into Botswana during peak season. Low season is the months of December, January, February, and March. The reason that it's the low season in Botswana is because that is when we have the rains that come through Botswana. Probably the most rainy time is the months of December and January. It is, however, an absolutely magnificent time to travel in Botswana for birders, and that is really the time to come if you are interested in birding. All the migratory birds come into Botswana during that stage, and if you're looking to tick off your birding list, it's the most extraordinary destination for birders between December and March. And so if you're looking, so shoulder season is your in-between season. So the months of April, May, June, and November are shoulder season periods. If you're looking to keep the price down of your trip to Botswana, that's a really, really great time to travel, is in the months of shoulder season. It's not as busy, it's easier to get into the lodges. And Julian will tell you that's his favorite time of year to travel is in April, right, Julian?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, and April, early May, that's the best time.
Yeah, it's a really great time to travel.
Hey.
All right. What we also do is we combine lodges. So the lodges also have a system whereby the longer that you stay in a certain camp, they start reducing the rate. And also if you combine certain lodges in a certain portfolio or in a certain structure, then you get what they call long stay discounts or sort of portfolio discounts. So there are definitely ways to mix and match properties to maximize on your time there and to get to slightly reduce on rates. All right, so again, just to go through your main types of activities in the Delta area is your Makoro trips, incredible bird life and beautiful walking safaris. You can also do hot air ballooning across the Delta from certain of the lodges in the Delta. Right, this is a video on Moremi, which I'm going to play for you. Hopefully we won't have another problem.
It's such an incredible place because you can't pin down.
Okay. All right, I think one of the things that I picked up on in that last video, which is so true of Africa, is the warmth of the people. And, you know, in that last video, she spoke about welcoming people into the family in Botswana. And you will see when you go to these camps, the experience in those camps is so true of that. You know, you literally do get welcomed in as a member of the family, as part of the family. These camps are small, they're intimate. There's literally, you know, a staff complement that are there to totally look after you. And you are allocated a guide right from the beginning who really remains with you and teaches you absolutely everything they know, not only about the wildlife, but about the people of the area, the history of the area. It's truly a privilege, actually, to spend time with these people. And I think it's something for me that I long for every time I go back, and I always remember when I go back, is just that feeling of just the warmth of Africa. The warmth of the people in Africa. So the last video was actually on the Desert and Delta Camp Moremi. This camp I've included in this presentation just because it's one of the iconic and original camps of the Delta. It was totally redone, or of the Moremi Reserve. It was totally redone in 2018. And again, based on the principles of conservation and low impact on the environment, which is the same principles that all of the camps in Botswana are based upon. You know, is no imprint on the environment. So Camp Moremi has got 12 luxury suites. All of them have got these beautiful big decks, which lead out onto which overlook the landscape and the environment. It has a library, it has a boma, you can see in the bottom right hand side here. So all of these camps will do outdoor dining. If basically 90% of the year you will be doing outdoor dining. And one of the things that they do is they change up the sort of dining venues. So one day you'll do a traditional African boma dinner. A boma dinner, for those that don't know, is when they literally light the fire down in the bush and you sit around the fire at night, and it used to be a time of storytelling in Africa, really, where everybody comes and sits around the fire and tells their stories of their day. The tribal elders used to come and tell stories, and this is the tradition of the boma dinner. And then obviously they'll mix it up, and then you'll do dining on the deck, and then you'll do, you know, so they do dining in all different areas. So this is again one of the more iconic and traditional camps. It's a very traditional safari experience that you're going to get in at Camp Moremi. Then I wanted to include Belmont Kwai River Lodge. So the difference between, so the Kwai area is a section of the Moremi that is a private concession. So the difference between a private concession and the normal reserve is that on a private concession you can do night game drives and walking. So here basically you will do game drives, you will have boating trips. You can see that this is situated on the edges of the Kwai River. The game viewing here in this area is absolutely extraordinary, and in fact there's very little reason for you to even leave your room. You can really just sit on the decks of your room all day and watch the game coming up to you. There's a constant stream of game flowing in this area. It's a very big predator area, loads of elephants, loads of lion, leopard, wild dog, incredible game sightings. Again here, in comparison to the others, you have a spa, you have incredible, you have stargazing tutorials happening here. You can go and visit the local communities, and the game viewing experience, as I said, is absolutely extraordinary, out of this world, in fact. Right. So here, this is just again a repeat of the difference between the Moremi region and the Okavango region. Is basically here you can do water and land-based activities, which we spoke about last time. You can go and see the communities, and then again, depending on the lodges, they've got different types of activities like stargazing involved as well. Right, I'm going to show you a video on the Savuti region. Now, the Savuti region, as mentioned, and the reason I'm going to show you this video is to show you the total contrast between the water camps in the Okavango Delta and the Moremi region, in contrast to this drier area of the Savuti region, which, remember, I mentioned to you is in the southern sector, or the southwestern sector of the Chobe National Park. So you're going to see in this video the very varied landscape compared to the Delta region. So you can see from that last video that in fact on so many of these camps you hardly need to leave the lodge actually to have the most incredible game viewing. In fact, sometimes I think it's really amazing to skip an afternoon activity and just relax and really let the game come to you. So perhaps just a quick recap on this Savuti region. I did speak last week about it, but the Savuti Marsh is an area, this western block of the Chobe National Park is generally quite a drier region. And the Savuti Marsh is a channel that sometimes flows. It can dry up. It dried up for nearly 20 years, and then it can flow again. So you have the migrations of the zebras coming through this region. You have a lot of movement of animals coming through in search of water and in search of game, in search of the water holes. And you have a very large predator or big cat population. So apart from just the huge herds of elephant in the Chobe National Park, which is what Chobe is renowned for, in this region of Savuti, you're going to find big prides of lion, big groups of hyena, and you can really just sit at the water holes and watch the action as the lions wait for the game to come down to the watering holes. It really is incredible. So Savuti Safari Lodge is part of the Desert and Delta collection. I spoke a little bit earlier, and maybe just to make it a little bit clearer about how we combine camps within a certain portfolio of properties. So for example, I spoke to you about the Camp Moremi. They've also got an Okavango camp called Camp Okavango and Kakanaka. So if we combine these into one itinerary, then the longer stay discounts apply. So that definitely makes it more value, or adds a definite value to it. And this is obviously what we look at. So the longer that you stay in Botswana, there becomes a reduction in the rates for the additional amounts of nights that you stay. So Savuti Safari Lodge, as you can see, is built around this incredible waterhole. And you really just see this game coming down to drink at all times. The next lodge that I want to mention to you is Belmont Savuti Elephant Lodge. So again, here we spoke earlier about Kwai River Lodge in the Moremi. So here we have Belmont Savuti Elephant Lodge, also part of the same portfolio. So again, the Belmont group of properties has a couple of unique features about it. First of all, it's one of the only property portfolios that has where all of the rooms are air conditioned. Which for some people is certainly, if you're traveling in the summer months, is quite important. They also have a fantastic hide overlooking the waterhole. So we spoke about, for those of you who've just joined or maybe haven't been in on some of the previous presentations, this hide is a fantastic area where they build it slightly down so that you're at eye level with the animals as they come down to drink. This makes for the most incredible photography, photographic opportunities. You know, it just adds a whole different dimension to game viewing when you're at sort of water level with the animals. So they also have, for example, you know, bathrobes in the rooms, fully stocked mini bars, air conditioning, private plunge pools. So again, here you can see the standard of amenities that you're getting, or the increased types of amenities that you're getting in the lodges. Obviously influences the price. Again, if you travel during low season or during off-shoulder season, it definitely is added value. Right, then finally, I wanted to move on to the Explorer expeditions. Julian, how are we doing for time?
Oh, we are doing wonderfully good.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, no worries, Nikki. You're great.
Okay, good. All right. So I think before I'm going to show you a video quickly on the Botswana mobile explorer expeditions. These are run. There are a couple of people who run these explorer expeditions, but basically just to give you a quick indication of what I'm talking about here, and then I'm going to show you the video. These are mobile expeditions where we spoke about just earlier on the fact that most of the time you're going to fly into the different camps or potentially do a boat transfer. The Explorer expeditions are where you drive through the different regions from the Okavango to the Moremi, up into the Chobe. There's quite a few of them. I'm going to specifically speak about that one today because those are the areas that we're covering, but there are Explorer expeditions that go south into the Kalahari as well. And to the Pans. But for example, this one is a 6-day Explorer expedition, and here it is a mobile camping safari. So these are camps that are put up. It's generally small groups, so maximum 6 people in a group, 3 tents. It is for people who are looking for total immersion into the environment. This is really an extraordinary experience. And just to mention that when I talk about camping, this is not the type of camping where you're crawling on your hands and knees and climbing into a sleeping bag in a tent. I remember doing much of that when I was little. This is really not compromising on the incredible service levels, on the food, and on the total experience. In fact, it is really enhancing it totally. So I'm going to let you watch this video, and then we'll speak a little bit more about that.
You get a unique experience in this country because of its game.
Looks wonderful, but you know, I think that a lot of ladies will be asking about the toilets. You know, would you need to dig a hole in the bush to and also the shower? Yeah.
Okay, so I specifically put this this slide in here just to give you an idea, and I think this is totally, I completely understand. You know, this is the people immediately think a camping expedition, and they imagine what they did when they were 6 years old, in those tiny little igloo camps where you can't even, you know, you can't even stand up. I just want to show you for a start the size of these tents. You can just see here in this top left-hand corner, you know, that these are proper beds. It's not, you're not sleeping on the floor. You're sleeping on a proper bed. If you walk through here, that is your bathroom, all right, with bucket showers, and then through into the next section. If you look at this top right-hand picture, you'll see bedroom, bathroom, and then the toilet at the back here. So the toilets are proper flush toilets, and the showers are what they call bucket showers. The guides, or the team, I'm going to call it the team that sets up camp for you, they'll send the whole, so for example, you move, this one that I'm going to speak about is called the Mini Explorer Expedition. You'll spend 2 nights in the Okavango, 2 nights in the Moremi, and 2 nights in the Sabuti. Your entire team moves ahead of you as you leave camp. And by the time you get into camp in the evening, your entire campsite is set up. And literally, it's as if you're staying in a lodge, but you're completely sort of out in the bush. The staff are absolutely exceptional. The rangers are very, very well trained. Those rangers that are trained to do these mobile camping expeditions go through a series of extra training to be able to be qualified to do this. And they are truly exceptional guides. They really are. They are guides, they are storytellers, they are chefs, and they are camp managers, and they will look after you fantastically well. It's always incredible to me that you think, you know, here you are out in the bush, and what are they going to, you know, how are they going to get food to you? It's always amazing to me what they manage to cook around a campfire. And obviously they bring in, you know, all the food with them. So the standard of the food is absolutely exceptional. They are totally equipped to cater for any dietary requirements that are necessary. And so I guess, Julian, just to go back and re-answer your question again, you know, it's, you're not, you know, even though you're out in the bushveld. So here in this bottom right-hand corner here, you can see up here where I'm showing you where my mouse is, those are the bucket showers. So what will happen is your ranger will, they'll boil water on the fire normally, and then they go and they fill up your bucket shower, and they'll get, you know, they'll tell you when it's going to be ready. And then literally you've got beautiful hot water, you know, when you need it. Obviously it's not accessible 24 hours a day as in, you know, a normal lodge room, but normally speaking, you're out all day anyway, in the bush. So when you come back in the evenings, that's when you're going to want to have your shower ready. And of course the lodge staff are all ready and well equipped. That water will be ready, and as soon as you come back in, you can go and have your bucket shower with beautifully hot boiling water. So this really is for those people, you know, I've done a couple of families. It's an amazing experience for a family. They, as I said, normally you have sort of a maximum of 3 tents. They do have family tents as well. So for example, for people who've got younger children who want their children to be in the same, you know, in the same tent with them, they'll do family tents. But this is really an exclusive experience for a small group of people or families wanting to travel together, and incredibly educational experience. The feedback that I've had from all the families that have done this is just, they just said it was life-changing. It was just a totally life-changing experience, memorable experience. Are there any questions on that?
I think so far we haven't got the questions coming in from our audience today. Yeah, I think everyone is just in
in
all
shock.
of yeah, you know, of the videos and the wonderful things that they see of Botswana. Yeah, so just while we wait for the questions to come in, Nikki, just now you mentioned about the rates, right? Okay, so
Yes.
the rates, just to make sure, you know, that we get the message across, the rate is actually per person.
Yes.
Yeah, per person per night,
Per
right?
person per night.
In US dollars,
That's
right?
correct. In
Mm,
US dollars. That's
yeah.
right.
Okay. Yes.
So you can see here those rates. So I've mentioned a couple of things. I've mentioned those rates are based on seasons. So obviously, if you travel in low season as comparison in as opposed to high season, there's a big rate difference. It's also based on the length of stay in certain properties. It's also based on on combinations of properties within a portfolio. So for example, a lot of them they'll have specials whereby if you combine 3 lodges within their portfolio for a minimum, let's say, of 6 nights or 7 nights, then they'll add in complimentary transfers between the lodges. So complimentary flights or complimentary, whether it's by helicopter flight or small aircraft or you know, or boat transfer, they'll add in that. So really, you know, there are ways, you know, that we always look at to try and you know, combine to make sure that the best rate is possible.
Sure.
But just to go back to the rates, certainly that's why I showed you, you know, some of the differentials in the properties that I've showed you today. So we started off with Footsteps Delta Camp, which is really your basic entry-level camp. You're looking at about $500 per person per night there. An absolutely amazing experience. It just doesn't have, you know, spas and gyms and private plunge pools, you know, and all of those types of facilities that the higher end lodges do. But then the difference in price between, for example, that lodge, which goes, let's say it ranges from $500 to $900 per person per night at Delta Camp, to, for example, your more luxury exclusive lodges, where you can be looking at anything from $1,500 up to $3,500 per person per night at your very luxury exclusive lodges. And really the difference is the game viewing is the same. The team is the same. The experience is very similar. It's really down to the facilities. It's really down to the facilities. And obviously, you know, for example, I spoke right in the beginning about Sandibe and beyond Sandibe camp. So, you know, little things like, okay, they have a helicopter on site at all times. So they have a helicopter landing pad there. So for those people wanting to go and do a helicopter scenic flight over the Delta, that is right there and it's accessible to them, which of course the other camps don't have. And then things like spas and gyms, which again, for example, Sandibe has got a spa and a gym. It's got private plunge pools. You know, it's got specifically adapted game viewing vehicles for photographic equipment, and that kind of thing. And that's what you're paying the additional amount for.
Yes.
And of course the food. I mean, we've spoken about that before when we were talking about South Africa as well. There's obviously a difference, you know, between the more fine dining experience at the super luxury lodges, as opposed to sort of maybe a little bit more basic cuisine at the sort of more entry level camps.
That's right. Yeah.
So I guess, you know, the thing is, I think that's the one thing that I always try and say is we're able to adjust to budget. You know, within reason, we can, you know, we can certainly work around that, and work around a budget. Look at the camps that you're going to go to, and obviously combinations of camps to work around that.
Yeah, because I think basically when you want to get to Africa, the main thing is the safari. Safari is like the iconic activity that you do, you know, for getting to Africa, right? And then, yeah, I think the thing here is this, obviously safari is an expensive activity, but if you really look at it and you break down the cost, like what you mentioned earlier, you know, the driver, the guide, and everything else, the food, including the accommodation, is all there. So if you break down that price, it's actually quite reasonable in that sense. Yeah, so that's how you should actually look at it. Because I always say that, for example, if you go to a luxury resort, maybe like Maldives, for example, okay, so or Mauritius, you are actually paying for the room and maybe one breakfast. But then the rest of it, if you want to go out and you hire a driver, there's extra charges. And then your lunch and your dinner, there's additional charges too. So for this one, it's quite a good rate in that sense. Yeah. So now coming back to this, Nikki, Rona has a question to say that is the movement between air. That means that you have to take either a helicopter or a small plane. But I believe that you can also choose not to fly if you don't want to, and you just carefully select the camps. And then you can go also the whole way via the road also, right?
Okay, yes, that's a great question. So the movement between camps, it varies. Yes, if you are in a remote camp in the Delta, then the only access point generally is by air. Sometimes if, for example, you're traveling from the Okavango Delta to the Moremi, we do boat transfers. But I know, Julian, you did mention it to me last week. We were talking about, you know, some people are a little bit nervous about those small planes and are not really keen to do those flights. So there's definitely lodges where you can do a road transfer from Maun up into the lodge.
Right.
What we then do is we use the lodges on the outskirts, not necessarily even on the outskirts of the Delta, but just not a total island lodge. So you're still going to get an incredible Delta experience. You're still going to get all the water and land activities, but there are lodges that are accessible by road. And the other option, of course, is to go into the Moremi. So the Moremi is actually a section of the Okavango Delta. It is the southwestern section of the Okavango Delta, and Moremi is totally accessible by road from Maun. So you can definitely do that. You don't have to get into a light aircraft. I also showed you in that last slide, we were talking about the Explorer expeditions. Obviously, some of those fly into your first camp, and then you do road all the way between all the different camps. You would then end up, for example, in Kasane and fly out of Kasane on a scheduled flight. We normally use SA Airlink. So it's definitely possible, you know, it's definitely possible to do it by road as opposed to flying.
Right.
It just means that there's certain camps that won't be accessible.
Yeah, only those.
And obviously the other aspect, which of course we need to talk about, is time. So, which is another critical aspect. You know, obviously, if you fly from one camp to the other camp, you know, it's maybe a 30-minute, hour-long, maximum 2-hour flight, depending on how far you're going. So, you know, in a light aircraft, if obviously you don't want to fly that and you want to drive it, it just takes a little bit longer. So, you know, if you've only got 4 nights and you want to do, for example, Okavango and Sabuti, you're going to spend a whole day driving between the 2 camps if you don't want to get in a small plane. So that's obviously another factor. But then, for example, if you only had 4 nights and you didn't want to fly, we wouldn't do Sabuti. We would do a combination of 2 nights Okavango, 2 nights Moremi, and you would have an amazing experience without having to fly.
So, Nikki, just to jog our memory a little bit, you know, how many days would you recommend for a total experience in Botswana then?
I would say ideally minimum 6 nights. And that would be, let's say, either combining 2 or 3 properties, minimum 2 nights in each. Ideally, I always say 3 nights in each is really your ideal. Next week we're going to sort of go to a slightly different area of Botswana. We're going to go down to the Kalahari, and we're going to look at the Makgadikgadi pans. And I'll show you another area called the Linyanti area, which is right up in the north, also sort of western sector of Chobe, right up against the rivers. And we'll look at combining those. So again, a totally different sort of idea of Botswana, but still seeing, you know, amazing game. If you're wanting to do sort of a combination of that as well, I would say probably 10 nights.
So,
And then, of course, some people want to add on Victoria Falls at the end of it, ending in Kasane and adding on Victoria Falls. Then I would say 12.
so the bad news is Botswana is not a one-time destination. You probably have to go back more than once, yeah?
Look, I mean, you're asking me about the ideal, Julian. You know, what a lot of people do is they combine, so
Yes.
we discussed this previously, combine South Africa, Zimbabwe and Botswana. We
Yes.
did a presentation on that, I think 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, maybe now.
Yeah.
And it's very easily doable. So, and then what you're doing is you're getting a taster of each. You're getting a taster of South Africa, a taster of Victoria Falls, and you can certainly do a 4-night add-on into Botswana. And that is totally doable. If you're doing a combination, you could do 2 nights in Victoria Falls, and we can fly you into the Delta, and you can do maybe 2 nights in Moremi and 2 nights in the Okavango Delta, and do a 4-night. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. So, you know,
I guess the beauty of it is Africa has countless itineraries, you know, mix and match and things like that. So also depending on the client, the client, you know, how much time he has, that can be arranged, or according to the budget, you know, and according to his interest. So everything could be actually mix and match to get that. Yeah.
You know, and that's why we don't sell Botswana as a sort of, you know, that's a package. You know, we really do tailor make everything that we do, because it really does depend on everybody's time, interests, budget, etc.
Yes, yeah. So I hope that has also helped to answer the question from Rona and also Bob on the travel between the lodges. Okay, and then wow, okay, we already have Alice that says that fully agree with us that the prices are reasonable because she paid quite a lot even in 2016, you know, yeah. So I guess, yeah, the thing is that there's a lot of choices that's available, and then do talk to your travel designer who can actually just advise you on the best available places that you can go to, and also very closely tailored to your interests. Then I think that you will get the maximum value out of it. And I also have Uncle Kumar that sold for Botswana, and he's very keen to look into Botswana the next time. So thank you, Uncle Kumar, for that. Okay, yeah, and truly, Botswana is an amazing place, you know. Yeah, so I haven't had the privilege to go there too many times, but I think it's really a lot more than other people, you know, and I can't complain. Yeah. Yes.
I think you said you've been there 10 times, Julian. Is that right?
11 times so far.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, so it's a wonderful experience. Yeah, so I've even stayed in Sunday Bay before, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, and Sunday Bay has this private butler window. So if you order coffee or things like that, they'll put through the window and they'll close the door on the other side, the window on the other side. And then when it's ready, he will knock on it and you will open up and get your coffee without seeing any people. So if you just choose to see wildlife, you will not see any people, if that's what you want. Yeah, right.
And that is, you know, one of the things at Sandibe is they, you know, they really focus on privacy as well a lot. It's really,
that's
you know,
right.
it's really incredible. So, and there, for example, you know, you can have cappuccinos in the bush and cocktails in the bush.
Yeah.
There's no expenses spared.
Yeah. Nikki, I think we have actually overrun the time a little bit now. Do we get any other questions from our friends here today? Yeah, thank you for all our regular friends, you know, they've been supporting us week after week. Yeah, and I'm sure all of us have learned a lot from you, you know, over the past few weeks. And just imagine, this is already the 8th session. We have done this 8 sessions already. For those who have just joined us recently, you know, if you want to find out more about what we have been talking about and the different places in South Africa and right now in Botswana, you can actually follow us in our through our YouTube channel at Top Liners Club. That's where our YouTube channel is. And then do keep a lookout, because we are slowly moving on to other places. Yeah, we are also moving on to Zimbabwe, and we are moving on to Namibia after that. So this is going to be a long marathon, you know, of knowledge sharing.